Welcome back to another episode of the ABC Music Talk podcast. In this show, I'll be adding to the lifestyle category, looking at what it's like to be a new artist coming into the music industry. I had this interview in my head as I started to put this podcast together, as I've worked with my guest for a few years, from my time at Warner Music, where she released a charity single under her former professional name of Emily Middlemas. So when I started working with Empire, I really wanted to continue that relationship. As we began, I watched this incredible talent mature and develop into the alter ego of Illy. Welcome to the show, Illy.
Hey, how's it going?
So before we get started, what have we been doing today? Because we've had a fun day together, right?
Yes, so we have literally just finished up performing the first ever show as Illy, and it was in a super intimate secret location with just a couple of people there, 30 or so, which was quite nerve-wracking. The first time ever performing the 5-track EP that I just released is such a crazy thing, and it was so cool to see people singing along, and they knew all the words, which is just bizarre. And it's been such a big dream of mine to, have people singing the words along to me, so it was cool.
Yeah, no, I think it was a lot of fun.
Such a good day.
Yeah, I think people really enjoyed themselves. So this EP is called Changes, and so this is going to be sort of slightly thematic based on your first body of work. As I mentioned, this is about a new artist coming into the music industry. So I know you're not exactly a new artist today, but you once were, weren't you?
Yeah.
So in fact, you were very young when you first started. How old were you when you started singing and kind of getting into the sort of the TV shows and all that kind of stuff?
I was 9 years old when I first started performing professionally, I guess you could say. But I've been singing since I came out of the womb. Literally. It's
quite an image. Quite an image there. Thank you for that graphic detail. So I think my first question is got to be, like, when you're 9 years old, 10 years old, I mean, how confusing was it to suddenly start mixing with these professionals from this funny thing called the music industry?
It was such an amazing but also really quite a scary experience being 9 years old. I remember when I turned 11, I think it was, a guy approached me, and he was an older man, and my mum and dad weren't around, and I was a little bit scared.
Wow.
He was like, I'm a manager and I've worked with this person, that person, no naming names, but they were big names, and it's scary because it's like, I don't know what to do here, is he telling the truth? And obviously I went back to my mum and dad, and they had multiple meetings, and it kind of was a little bit shaky, but yeah, it was a daunting experience, especially just being surrounded by older people, and there was a lot of older rock guys,
right?
Because I was in a rock band originally when I was 9, so we were all 9 and 10, so we toured the UK and we got a name for ourselves, and yeah, it was so much fun, but also really scary being so young, jumping into such a mature.
Yeah, well, you're with adults, aren't you? You're in grown-up territory.
I had to mature up extremely fast when I was younger, really, really fast.
Yeah, I mean, did you feel like you've missed out at all? I mean, if you've grown up that quickly?
Sometimes I think about it, and I'm like, have I ever missed out on going to the parties at school and doing all these different kind of things? But I just say no. I don't see that as something I want to do for the rest of my life, whereas music was just my first love. I was so dedicated to music. I had so many other things on when I was younger. I was busy 7 days a week, and it was my choice. My mum and dad never forced me to do anything.
That's
so
great.
I was ice skating 3 times a week.
Yeah?
I was dancing twice a week, and then I had singing and piano lessons the other days.
Goodness.
So yeah, I was a busy little girl, but it was all my drive and determination. So yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. I mean, as you know, I have a daughter who's 10, so similar kind of age, and she's busy doing lots of dancing lessons at the moment.
Got to be done.
Got to be done. Absolutely. So the EP that we just put out is Changes, and it's kind of about this change, this kind of, you know, this maturing, I suppose, of you as a recording artist. So presumably, I mean, so I have to tell a quick story, and I actually have a picture which I'll try and figure out how to communicate. I might put it on my when I post about this podcast. I might put this picture out there, and it's a picture of Illy in the Empire office in the UK. And she's standing in front of the large TV screens on the wall, and she's got a PowerPoint presentation or a keynote. Other presentation things are available, and she's telling us about how she wants to change the way she looks and sound and the imagery and all the rest of it. So that's clearly somebody who's got an awareness of the music industry, right? And as much about herself as the music industry. So was there a point where you thought, you know what, I've got to kind of learn a little bit about this adult world I've kind of been thrust into, so that, you know, the next time some crazy old man comes up to me and goes, hello little girl, would you like me to that you know, you'll kind of know, right, manager does this, right, I understand, right. So was there a point, or did it kind of just happen over time?
You know, it actually wasn't until recently that I kind of got to know the labels of things, like what a publisher is, like what a manager is, what a label is. I never knew, like, until I was about 17, which is quite late on. Like, nobody ever came up to me and was like, this is that and this is this. And, you know, I just kind of had to learn for myself, which is quite a weird thing to do, especially being so young. Like, you need to know who's who and who's coming up to you and who they are, like who a promoter is. And I know it's simple things now speaking about it, but you really do have to search into that and learn about it.
And was this from sort of like, because obviously by that point you were very much sort of in and, you know, had, you know, the celebrity aspect to your life. I mean, was it just kind of, okay, the people keep saying this word publisher, right?
Yeah.
Let me go and find out what the hell that is, because I nod and say yes or no.
Yeah, it was really weird, because I've been writing ever since I was 11, and people were coming up to me like, do you have a publisher? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have a PR? Do you have, like, all of these different things? And I was just like, whoa, what is this? Like, this is crazy. I do not know what any of these things are, and no, I don't have any of them. I'm just by myself. But yeah, I went home and I really researched things, and I kind of went on a few blogs and things to learn all about it, really.
Yeah, so I mean, you've sort of answered this already, but so when you were meeting people, did you, like, if they were coming up and introducing themselves, did they make it clear, not only who they were, but what they actually did, like, as like the reason for them to talk to you, right? Presumably in a professional sense, right?
Yeah, sometimes people would come up and they would just be like, hey, say it was, I don't know, Annie. Hey, I'm Annie, like, and we would really like to get in contact with you. Here's a card, and it was just kind of like a boom boom, like, what do you do? Like, I never really had a lot of communication with people, so it would be nice for people to kind of be like, I'm a publisher, or I'm a manager, and this is what I do. For like more up and coming artists that they're looking to work with, to you know, just say this is what we do and this is who we're with, because sometimes it's really vague.
Yeah, because I mean, I still have it as, you know, as I go through the industry, people do just sort of come up to you and say, you know, I'm so and so, and then they'll mention like a company name, and then and like you just be like, I remember saying to somebody, I don't know what that company is, and they kind of gave me such a funny look and said, oh, you know, it's like this really important thing, and I was like, I don't think it's that important, because I'm fairly sure I'd have heard about it. You know, I'm fairly well read in sort of, you know, the trade magazines and all the rest of it. So it's like, if I hadn't heard of it, then, you know, kind of get off your high horse, right? But yeah, no, it's well, there you go. So top tip for my listeners there: make sure people, when you're talking to them, know exactly who you are, what it is that you do. Good. So obviously you've gone through the X Factor thing. Were there any relationships, like professional relationships, that, you know, kind of lasted, you know, after that, or did that all kind of just disappear when you went independent?
Yeah, I think anyone out there who's getting a project together that's something as big as a TV show, or I don't know, something that's huge like that, I really, really, really do believe, and I really try to push for this, is to have mental health support after the show, because honestly, when I came off the show, and personally other people that I spoke to about this came off the show, it was like, boom, cut off, that's it. Like, nothing at all.
Wow.
No support, no guidance to go to some places, nothing at all. And I was actually speaking to a lawyer about it, and she was also trying to get behind the fact that they should pay for mental health support, because it's such an important thing. Like, a few other guys and girls that I spoke to that were on the show or shows like that, they got back to me and they said, yeah, like, I felt the same. There was just like it's like a really downfall, because it goes from all this hype paparazzi, like,
sure,
crazy amount of followers every single day, like, just this crazy ongoing thing, and it's like boom, 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 your mind isn't really catching up, and it isn't until you get kind of dropped from the show or you leave the show that it's like your mind catches up, and it's like, what's happening now? Like, where is it going now? So yeah, I do believe that they should have some sort of support system in there.
Yeah, because a lot about those shows is about this sort of mentorship, and then they kind of bring in, you know, vocal coaches, and there's that, certainly from a consumer's point of view, when you watch those shows, it is this kind of, there's lots of people that will all help develop these artists, and so I guess that was actually how it was, right? How you were feeling, like, oh look, I've got all this support, I've got all these people.
Yeah, there was a lot of people around at the time, and there was also someone that, like, was there for anyone that was maybe a little, like, anxious, or, you know, like, that kind of had that build up of in them. But I do believe that they should have had someone there after, just even if it's just a message you could send them every so often that they paid for. I mean, they did that with the lawyer, and I still keep in contact with the lawyer, who's absolutely amazing from the show. So like, if they could do that, then surely they could bring someone in just to help boost. You know, it's like it would be cool if there was like a music, you know, there's like music lawyers, like music people for that category.
There's actually potentially a business opportunity there, right?
Yeah.
There you go. If anyone's listening to this, it was my idea. Because I mean, I guess because so after the actual, like, kind of televised part of it, you do a tour as well, don't you? So did it feel like you were just kind of travelling along the same sort of speed from TV to the tour? Yeah,
so it was kind of the same speed from the TV, then the tour, and then after the tour, it was just like, I guess it was like a space of nothingness, and that sounds so sad. But it really was for everyone. I guess it was just like a boom for everyone who, I don't know, didn't get signed, everyone who's independent, because I didn't have a manager, I didn't have nobody behind me, I just had me, my mum and dad supporting me, like, you go girl, and I just like, so I guess when you say, like, where did you get this, like, kind of boss type thing from, it was just found it myself, because I had to.
Because you had to.
I just had to, but I'm thankful that happened though, because I guess if things were always done for me, I wouldn't be as driven and as, you know, like, telling people what to do and what I want. And, like, I really believe in what I want now. So yeah, it was an experience.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, sort of silver lining in all of that then.
Yeah,
no, very good, excellent. So I guess you've been answering each question before I asked it, which is excellent. I mean, that's it's kind of, I guess, good from my sort of planning point of view. But yeah, I mean, I suppose you sort of mentioned, you know, some of your experiences and how you were treating, how you'd like those to change. Is there anything more kind of around that you could, you know, sort of like offer to people that, because again, this podcast is about new people coming into the industry, and I think part of what I wanted to do with it was, you know, try and help people think about approaching it differently to perhaps you know, how it has gone before.
I think if I had any advice for the other side, not the artist side, it would probably be, if you're working with an artist and you believe in them and you truly want them to be successful and work with them, you need to sit back and let them find themselves. Because when I was on the show, I didn't really know who I was. I had an idea, but it was kind of a little bit shaky. Like, I would sing some songs in a different genre, and then it would be like all over the place. like the first few auditions I had my guitar, and then all of the rest it was like really slow ballads, like really quite sad and soul destroying, for people watching, and that is not me now. Like that is a completely different side that is just different. Like that's not me at all. But yeah, I think managers, labels, anyone who's wanting to work with an artist, just make sure that you sit back and let them find themselves. You can guide them and you can help them and say, oh, that song's really good, like let's try do more of that song, or like that style that you're dressing in is really cool, or you suit this or you suit that, but just let them find themselves and they'll get there eventually.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's I mean, I guess that's perhaps maybe a slightly specific thing that you found being on a show that was kind of a lot about that guidance piece of it, but because I guess being a TV show, they're concerned about ratings and the rest of it. But it's interesting to hear you talk about like sad songs, because of course the show is quite an upbeat type of thing, and you'd have thought they'd have tried to get you to be more vibrant.
I was really fighting for trying to get an upbeat song, but I think they thought that was me and that was who I was, when now it's like I've kind of proved that it's not.
Yeah. But
I guess it was all a learning curve, and I've kind of done that genre, and I'm like, that's not who I want to be. But it was a shame it was on live TV, but
I mean, I'm sure nobody was watching. Yeah.
But no, I'm happy that everything has led to this moment, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for everything I've done in the past, from the rock band to I had this phase of wearing like a hat, like a top hat, and like a glittery scarf and a waistcoat. It was horrible, and I had like knee-high Converse. Like it was the worst ever phase of my life, first fashion-wise, and that's what I wore in the little rock band. And then I kind of developed from there. I started going more singer-songwriter, playing the piano. Like I've been trying to find myself ever since I was 9, and it's not a hard thing to do at all in this industry. But yeah, you just need to keep writing and get your artists to just write. You need to get them in the studio and just keep writing. Yeah,
I mean, I guess the rock band came from the fact that you were listening to a lot of rock music. Was that? I mean, but you're only 9 years old. I mean, how much?
I mean, I guess I grew up with a lot of rock music, but it wasn't like heavy rock. It was like quite soft rock, like Status Quo. We would sing all the time, which is bizarre. Like I sang it, but I don't listen to them, and like Guns N' Roses, like there was quite a lot of, and we sang about a little bit of Blondie, and I actually listened to kind of a lot of what my dad listened to as well. I loved his taste in music when I was younger. ELO, Jeff Lynne was like such a big part of my childhood. Like, I love him so much. And Queen. I actually just recently, like last week, learned how to play Bohemian Rhapsody on piano.
Oh, wonderful.
I do not know why I didn't do it faster. Like, you can literally feel the way he played it while you're playing it. It's like the crossovers and everything. Oh, I love it so much.
Oh,
but yeah, hopefully I'll be posting a cover of that soon.
Oh, very cool.
That would be crazy.
Oh, very, very good.
So,
and what's your handles for your different social accounts?
This is Ellie all over Instagram and Twitter, and Facebook is Ellie.
I'll make sure I put those in the show notes as well. So we talked about kind of now you're on your own. You're an independent artist. So I mean, did you meet like people that taught you lessons from back in the day that you still use to this day, or are you sort of just kind of making it up as you go along, or is there anything that kind of really stuck? Because I like this idea of sort of mentorship, and so I think sometimes people do it accidentally, right? They just kind of they like to impart wisdom and experiences on others that they think is appropriate, that think might help them. So was there anything like that kind of has carried you through, like any sort of like gems that really stuck in your head?
I mean, I know not to be like negative Nelly, but I think it was more the hard parts and the kind of more. The lessons that I learned were actually from the experiences that weren't too good. Like, been in an environment that's not really been very nice, and it's really been more money orientated rather than let me guide you, let me help you. It's all like I was in a situation when I was only 12 that it was just like money, 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 and my mum and dad thought it was like this big break and this big thing, and it was just like a money thing, and like I wasn't sure if they actually believed in me or if they just wanted that. And sometimes it's hard to kind of like tell the difference, but you'll know once you actually have that team. But yeah, there was good guidance as well, and it was actually from teachers and like piano teachers, or like the singing lessons I went to. It was with a woman called Angela McCallum, and she just brought out my confidence so much, and she did teach me a lot about the industry. And the manager of the little rock band that I was in, called Tommy, he taught me a lot as well. So I've had such a good childhood, but I guess I didn't really meet a lot of industry people because they're all based in London.
Yeah, sure.
Being in Scotland is so difficult. But yeah, I don't know, I think a lot of the things I've learned I've kind of picked up by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah, no, that's cool. So what's next? So we've just. I know it probably feels a bit weird being asked that question. That you sort of still kind of in the Changes EP mode, but like
it's actually really weird because I've been thinking for about 2020, even before the first single that I released as Illy was out there, because all of the songs were finished for the EP, so I was like, right, what's next? Right away, like the EP hasn't even been released, and everyone told me that like you need to calm down, the EP's not been released yet. I was like, nope, I need this sorted, because in my head it's like you need to be like that. You need the consistency of like releasing and keeping people happy and not keeping people waiting is so important. I think like the music has to be right, but everything around it you need to sort out. So I have quite a lot planned. It will be full of colour and lots of I'm just so excited. Like I'm bringing in so much more confidence, so much more sass. So like everything is just bigger, like bigger production, bigger everything. I'm really excited for 2020. It's going to be a big year.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your time and coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you to my listeners for listening. As always, I welcome all feedback, comments, and suggestions for future shows. My Twitter is @Alex Branson is my favoured mode of communication, and if you want to send me a direct message, just put podcast DM and I'll follow you back, or head to the website, which is www.abcmusic.co, and then you'll find a contacts page on there with my email address on. So once again, thank you very much, Illy.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.